Keep the kind of wet tie. But after 95, try their life but say goodbye. Gotta wish the life would get the job done. Says the work can never be fun. Simply unprofessional. Simply unprofessional. Unprofessional. I'm unprofessional. I'm unprofessional. I'm unprofessional. You know it's true, yeah.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Simply Unprofessional. I'm your host, Webby. Joining me tonight, we got Rob.
Hey, everybody, it's Rob.
And we got Donnie.
Hey, everybody, it's Donnie.
And we got special guest Kat.
Hello.
So first off, how is everybody doing tonight? Good.
Pretty good.
Great.
I made you guys play Demonologist, and you are not liking me very much.
It was very amusing to watch.
Ugh.
I didn't mind it. I just died every time.
I just got the game for myself, so I'll have to learn how it works.
Pretty much the same
What?
exact way as Phasmophobia. Just, you gotta learn how some of the tools work, I guess. And there's just a lot more interactable things that are, like, jump scary, I guess. So. But yes. Anyway, this week we're going to be talking about the D&D movie, Dungeons & Dragons Honor Amongst Thieves. It's been out quite a while now, so spoiler alert, if you haven't seen it, the fuck is wrong with you? Go watch it. Also, I think, you know, it's been out long enough. I almost feel kind of bad that we haven't done it sooner. But still. Kat, you saw it while it was in the theater, yeah?
Yes, I went opening night.
Did you
Nice.
get one of those cool, like, dice bucket things?
I have 2 of them.
You know, I tried to look online and see if I could just order one, and they're not even selling them online.
No, but people are reselling them and marking them up like crazy.
Yeah, I know. I just really wanted one. Dump a bunch of dice into or something. Be like my little dice bucket. But, so what was you? We'll talk about the premise of the movie. But what was your initial reaction walking into the theater and then walking out of the theater? Like, did you set a high bar for it, or did it meet all of your expectations or blow them out of the water?
I did end up setting a little bit of a high bar. Just, I got really excited about it, and I haven't been excited for a movie in the theaters in a while.
Okay.
And it didn't fall short or anything. I enjoyed it. Felt it was a little fast at points, but it came all together really well for me.
Okay. Donnie, what about you? Did you before watching it, did you have any type of expectation of this movie? Like, did you set the bar high? Did you have a low bar going into this?
I intentionally kept my bar low. Just not that the previous Dungeons & Dragons movies weren't good, they just weren't great.
Well,
So I just kept my bar low going into it, and I loved it, so it worked.
I mean,
Me, personally, that's obviously my opinion.
that's true. That's true. I mean, well, I watched them, and you know, I saw them multiple times, so I can't say that they were terrible movies, but
Me neither.
they
I think if you're a D&D fan, you're going to enjoy them just for what they are, and this movie being set,
especially for its time period. You know?
Yeah. I was very excited to have a movie with current CGI levels for the D&D. Like, I was hopeful.
Rob, what about you? Where did you set your bar going into this movie?
Very low.
Was that because of the previous D&D movie?
Yes.
Yeah. And did this... see, I also set my bar really low for that same reason. And this one just blew everything out of the water. It exceeded my expectations more than I could have hoped for. What was your thoughts going out like after watching it, Rob?
I mean, I found it pretty like can't think of the word, but like it basically I found it very I get what I expected a D&D movie to be. Like it was way closer to the mark than anything ever has been so far.
Right. All right. So let's go around one more time and say, Kat, who was your favorite character in this movie?
I really liked the druid.
Okay. Yeah. The druid who what was her name? Started with a D, I think. Doric.
Mhm.
Yeah. Donnie, who was your favorite?
Oof. It's been a while, so my initial feelings are not here anymore, but I'm going to have to say probably the druid. No. What was she, a barbarian?
Holga.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. She's probably my favorite.
Rob, what about you?
Yeah, probably Holga too.
Okay. Yeah, mine was also Holga. Doric definitely came in at a very close second to me because Doric was part of one of my favorite scenes. But Holga overall, I don't know. I guess it's just my love of playing barbarians in D&D, and she really encompassed what I envision a barbarian being like. Plus, she had the tavern brawler feat. You could tell she was using all sorts of things as weapons that aren't weapons. Kat, do you have a favorite moment or scene that really stands out to you?
Not that I can remember. It has been a little while since I last saw it.
Okay, that's fair. Donnie, do you?
Uh,
I
Same
will say,
situation, but
I
I will
have
say
two.
the grouping of scenes, just seeing them attempting to be accurate to the lore of spells, and like the black dragon actually spewed out the acid stuff.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Instead of the flames, like
Yep.
just seeing them being accurate to the lore. All of the scenes where things were how they're supposed to be really made me happy.
Okay. Rob, do you have any favorite scenes or any that really stood out?
Yeah, I have a couple. I liked when they used the gelatinous cube to escape. That was pretty cool. I liked when they were being chased by the very fat dragon.
Yep.
Yeah.
And I like the spoilers for saying people should know by now we do spoilers. Two more were when he's trying to put the helmet on and the guy's just like, nope, and then he just gets blown across like the beach.
Oh, yeah. When he's trying to attune, yeah.
Yeah. And then the one where like they're at the end where they all pretend to be frozen, but they're not really, and they're just like, "Hey."
Okay.
Nice. Okay.
So I have two. The two that really, really got me was when they used the minor illusion to have Edgar singing
another one.
and whatnot, and then the whole illusion started to like warp and melt. And
oh yeah, that was good too.
Edgin, that's his name. Edgin. And then the second one was after the scene that Rob just said, when they're all like pretending to be frozen, and Doric as the owl bear slams that evil sorceress lady back and forth, and then Edgin's like, I think you got her, and then Doric looks down and then just like beats her head into the concrete a couple more times really fast, and then just flings her up into a building. Those are two of my favorite moments.
Another one I thought of is the very beginning where they use the Eric Hawker guy to escape, and then, but as they're like flying out the window, the guy was like, "Wait, we were gonna let you go."
That was pretty funny.
Poor Jarnathan. Um, has that jogged anyone? Has that jogged Kat or Donnie's memories at all as to if anything else stood out? Or are we just naming all the cool points now?
I think you covered them all.
Yeah. So essentially, the premise of this movie is there is a bard played by Chris Pine. It's Edgin Dervis. He is part of the Harper's Society. This is actually this takes place in the D&D world of Baldur's Gate, Faerun.
Is Sword Coast part of that?
Yep. And he has a group of people, and he decides, as he's locking away all of these bad guys and doing his thing, he locks away a red wizard of Thay, who ends up coming back, tracking his house down, and killing his wife. And so he decides to leave the Harpers, and he realizes once he finds his daughter hidden away in a wall, which, I mean, that's poor parenting. Who just puts their daughter in a wall?
Mm.
But he decides that, what's the point of, doing all this hard work and trying to do good for such little pay where they can barely scrape by when you can just steal stuff. And so he kind of forms like a little band of thieves with Michelle Rodriguez's character, Holga Kilgore, who plays the barbarian. And then there was Simon Amar, who plays the sorcerer, the wild magic sorcerer. And then Hugh Grant playing Forge. I don't remember his last name. Who is I believe he's a rogue. And then his daughter doesn't have a class, but she has a dope ass amulet that allows her to turn invisible all the time. But in any case, they get wind of this tablet. The Tablet of Reawakening, I think it's called. And it's in a Harper stronghold. And they break in and they try to steal it, but it's trapped. And they get caught, but then the wizard that's with them casts time stop. And only Edgin and Holga actually end up getting caught. Edgin throws the tablet to Forge and tells him to, take Kira, I think her name is. Yeah. Edgin's daughter, and protect her. That's essentially the backstory, and then it leads into the opening scene where they break out of the prison. Edgin and Holga, which Rob just kind of briefly mentioned, they end up using Jarnathan, who's an Aarakocra, diving out a window. And then they go back and they find out that Forge is now running. What city was it? I don't think it was Baldur's Gate. Neverwinter. That's what it was. He was the Lord of
I thought it was that, but that seemed like it was too big of a city for that to be the case.
Neverwinter's a big major city.
That's what I meant. I thought it was too big of a city for that guy to be in charge of.
Oh, yeah, no, he becomes Lord of Neverwinter.
Just real quick, I think you skipped the part where...
Oh, I skipped a lot of parts, probably.
Well, just while he was the Harper, he did start stealing because he thought, why can't we... Because they were escorting, a mage out of the place that they had arrested, and he takes something...
Yeah, but you don't find that out until later on in the movie.
No, you find that out at the beginning. This is the story he tells while they're trying to stall to get Jonathan.
Yeah, he explains that the Red Wizard of Thay that he just arrested got out and hunted down his family and extracted revenge, but he wasn't there and he couldn't get there in time. You don't find out till later when he's talking to the paladin guy that it's because he stole a piece of gold or whatever, one of the coins, and that the Red Wizards of Thay can magically track their currency.
Well, no, I know. I wasn't going to say that part. I was just saying that about the part that they came to kill his family. I didn't think you mentioned that part.
Yeah, I did. And then his
Yeah,
daughter was
okay.
hidden in the wall.
Okay. I must not have heard that for whatever reason. Go ahead. Proceed.
Oh,
Sorry.
you're just not listening to me.
Yep.
I'm boring you today.
Yeah.
In
Sucks
any
to
case,
suck.
in any case, they go and meet with Forge. Forge seems really nice. Forge is definitely the charismatic character that, I mean, you like him, you hate him, and then you love to hate him. And I think, honestly, I think Forge is probably one of my favorite antagonists in a film because he has that type of charisma. He's not just like outwardly evil until he feels like he can't carry on, pretending anymore, But they meet with him. They find, Edgin sees his daughter. His daughter thinks that he was just away in jail because he got caught because all they were doing was stealing, more and more valuables. That's all it was for. She had no idea that it was for this tablet to try to bring her mother back because Forge has been filling her head with lies. And so she ends up leaving the chamber, and then Forge pretty much just says, yeah, I'll take care of her. It's kind of cool being a dad. And this, that, and the other thing, which just pisses Edgin off. And then they find out that that red wizard that hired them for the job to begin with or whatnot, the one that cast Time Stop, was still working with Forge. So then he essentially tells his guard, "Hey, bring them back to the prison up in outside of north of Neverwinter, up in the wintry wastes, and make sure to collect the bounty." And then the Red Wizard, when he leaves, the Red Wizard tells the guard to just kill them. That's where the scene happens, where they essentially break free. They beat Holga. I was gonna say they, but it's more Holga beats the piss out of all these guards in this alleyway. The whole time, Darvis is just rubbing his ropes on the steps until she pretty much does it all. And then they leave and they go and try to find more people to help free Kira from Forge. So then they, that's when they go and they recruit Simon again. And then they find out that, a tiefling would be, or a druid would be really handy. And Simon happens to know a tiefling druid by the name of Doric because they dated one time. And she was thoroughly unimpressed by how unimpressive he thought he was. I guess that's the way to put it. Like, it was just literally his whole demeanor about himself was really what kind of dragged everything down for them.
Mm.
But then then you meet Holga, or Doric rather. She's a moon druid. She can turn into owl bears and all sorts of stuff. Then they're going over a plan. Actually, it might have been before they even got to Doric, but I know Holga kept saying, "Oh yeah, they should turn into a deer," or she kept bringing up the deer thing. And Edgin was just like, "Yeah, a deer in a populated city where there's 1 million deer." But then there's this cool scene where Doric wild shapes way too many times for a moon druid, but eventually does end up turning into a deer. But she overhears a conversation about the upcoming festival and where they're going to be hiding or holding like a bunch of artifacts and stuff, and they assume that that's where the tablet would be that Forge is hiding and keeping from Edgar or Edgin. I'm gonna keep messing that name up. Um, so then they realize that the spell that seals the door is impenetrable or something, unless they had some sort of helmet. Holga recognizes the name of the helmet and says that her tribe of barbarians and whatnot that she lived with had that in their possession the last she knew. So they go and there was like a massive battle, and so they start using the speak with dead spell, which also a very funny set of scenes.
Yeah, I kind of
I
forgot
loved
about that. That would
those.
have been on my list.
And they end up going from family member to family member through this tribe, trying to figure out where this whole helmet, like where this helmet ended up. And it just goes through like a whole series of events of this massive war that was happening. And finally, they find out that this helmet was last in possession by a paladin who belonged to Thay, and immediately Edgin doesn't trust the guy because he's Thay, and he has a thing about Thay people because they killed his wife. But this paladin is honestly, this paladin is definitely what you would think is a stereotypical paladin in D&D. You know, he's definitely lawful good, and he has really no sense of humor. He's very, what's the word? Not bland, but very matter of fact, and he just tells it how it is. And though he's not in the movie for very long, like he's not a permanent fixture in this particular group. They just need him to bring them to the helmet. I really liked how they portrayed him, and I really liked the actor who portrayed him. But then they essentially hunt him down. They track him down, and he agrees to help them, but they have to go to the Underdark essentially to get to this helmet. And that's where they fight Thumbershard, or they run from Thumbershard, the chonky red dragon, who is an actual dragon in D&D lore and is extremely chonky. I read all about him. Also, fun fact for people who do play D&D, Wizards of the Coast canonized this movie.
Oh.
So all of the events that happen in this movie, all the characters in this movie are all canon people in the D&D world now. So I thought that was exciting.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
That's cool.
Imagine being cast and you're an actor or an actress and you're like, "Oh, can you play in this movie? It's a D&D movie." And then you do, and you have fun playing it. You learn all about D&D and stuff, and you do the movie, and then all of a sudden, the Wizards of the Coast, who owns D&D, turns around and says, "Oh yeah, your characters are now canon in the world, so they're always going to live on in the D&D lore." Where was I? Thumbershard. Yeah, they fight some like undead, like I don't know. They bled sand, like some other like Thay people, like Thay assassins. They get the helmet. They run from Thumbershard with his little tiny ass wings, his big fat chunky body. Honestly, the most adorable red dragon I've ever seen. I honestly don't remember what happens next. Oh, that's when they go and he tries to attune to the helmet a bunch. Gets blown across the beach. And there's something with a wagon. Oh, they ended up finding the hither thither staff down there because that was Holga had it in her possession. It was her ex-husband's walking stick because they didn't know it was magical. That plays a big part because then they like put a portal on a painting and then cover it up. But
Yeah,
then the
so that
painting
they can get into the
falls.
vault
Yeah,
because he couldn't attune to the, so they needed another way in.
yeah. And all the plans start falling apart. So Edgin starts going back to like Plan B, backup Plan C, things like that, and eventually they end
Yeah,
up
because
getting caught.
the painting falls over when they place it in the vault, so that it's just showing the floor.
Oh, that's right.
So then she's like trying to work an edge of it up through the table that they had put the other end on, and like
Yeah.
she's like, well, the rest of them were like, okay, Plan C, and then that's when they tried the illusion thing, right?
Yeah, yeah. Which to me that was one of the funniest scenes because it was working, and then all of a sudden his face started drooping, and the song started to like go in slow motion. And then I don't remember how they split up, but they ended up all getting caught.
Yeah, because they ended up getting in
Right.
all their different various ways actually got them into the vault, but the vault was empty, they realized.
Yeah, and it was Doric who got in through the portal. That was actually where they were holding all of, like the treasure and wealth from all of like the important people who were visiting for the festival.
Yeah.
But it was not the vault. It was actually below the city near the docks. So the Red Wizard of Thay, who caught Edgin, essentially was just going to kill them all. And then Edgin was like, "Oh no, let us fight. Let us go through the maze. You know, if we're gonna die anyway, give us a fighting chance." And Forge was against it, but then the Red Wizard lady, I don't did she even have a name?
Yeah.
Yeah.
She does on her character sheet.
Sophina. She was like, no. You know what? Let them die in the arena. It's fine.
Yeah, because she wanted the distraction because she was going to cast that spell during on everybody in the arena.
Yeah, essentially, she wanted to pretty much just kill everybody in the arena and turn them all into zombies and skeletons, just undead of all sorts.
Yeah. But we should note that even though we keep calling her the Red Wizard, she was disguising herself that no one knew she was the Red Wizard except for what's his face?
Forge. And so they end up going through, and I know this is where one of the Easter eggs was in the movie. For anybody who watched the old school D&D cartoon, like from way back in the day, one of the other groups in this maze, participating in this maze, was the original cartoon D&D group.
That's cool.
Yeah,
that's so cool. I wish I watched that.
And I think the only person that they didn't have in that one was they didn't have the horse or the donkey or whatever who was part of that group. But they ended up making it to the cage.
Yeah, he was a character basically.
Yeah.
But they didn't have him.
But that's the group that ended up making it to the center of the maze in the cage. But then when they got there, Edgin and his group realized that that's not how you get out of there. That's not what they needed to do. So they ran back to the outside of the maze. And that's where they ended up utilizing the gelatinous cube, evading the displacer beast. And they ended up going below the maze and then running and coming out where pretty much all of the treasure was. And there's a fucking mosquito. Sorry, these goddamn things.
They steal the ship with all.
Yeah, they steal the ship with all the treasure, and then Edgin, looking at everybody, remembering the promise that he made to the Paladin about distributing all of the wealth to the people of Neverwinter, turns the boat around and they end up putting the hither thither staff underneath all the treasure on the boat, and the other portal coming out of the blimp or whatever, the hot air balloon that had Forge's face on it, so it looked like he was just vomiting treasure all over the city. And then they went back and
Well, they also saw the big storm from the spell forming over the.
that's what really made him start to think and.
Yeah, so they used that with the balloon to draw people out of the arena to follow the treasure trail.
Yep.
Did you mention how cool the balloon itself was? Because I think we all loved that.
The one vomiting all the treasure?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You did mention that vomiting part, but yeah, I remember just really loving that balloon before he vomited the gold. I thought it was awesome.
And then they go back and they end up facing off against the now exposed Red Wizard Sophina. A fight ensues in the courtyard. There's an animated object that they end up fighting. Doric turns into an owl bear, and then that's where they pretend to essentially. She does her time stop thing near the end, and they pretend to be frozen by it, and
yeah, because the daughter snuck up to her while she was invisible and put that anti-magic thing on her, so she couldn't actually cast magic.
And technically,
she didn't realize.
Simon had countered it, but they all pretended that it went through. And then she was shackled with the anti-magic bracelet, and then Doric came in and just beat the piss out of her, like the Hulk and Loki in the Avengers movie. But not before. I mean, by that time you find out that Holga was stabbed with the Red Wizard's blade at some point during the fight. And the biggest part with the Red Wizard blades is they can't be healed by normal magic. And so Holga ends up passing away. She dies. And Kira and Edgin are, on either side of her. And he holds up the Tablet of Reawakening, who he was going to use that to bring, his wife back and Kira's mom back. But, seeing the bond that Kira had with Holga and, Holga being his best friend, he essentially tells his daughter, I can only use this once. And his daughter decides to tell him to use it. And they bring Holga back.
Basically because, her mom died when she was a baby.
Right.
And so basically Holga has been her mom for most of her life.
Right. And the first thing out of Holga's mouth when she gets brought back is, you used it. Why'd you use that thing on me? But then she smiles, and that's essentially the movie. Was there anything actually at the end? I know they all went back to the elf place in the forest and were drinking.
What's-his-face tries to escape using that guy again, but they bricked off the window.
Oh, yeah.
Jonathan or whatever.
Forge gets arrested, and then he tries to do the same scene as the very opening scene and use Jonathan as an escape mechanism, but they bricked up the window that he plummeted through before. That was essentially the movie. I'm sure there's more that I missed. The movie itself got. You know what? Before I say anything, on a scale from 1 to 10, Kat, if you're there, what would you give this movie on a scale from 1 to 10?
Maybe an 8.
8.
8.5.
Donnie, what would you give this movie on a scale from 1 to 10?
Yeah, probably an 8.
Okay, Rob. 9. He's not in his room, but he yelled 9. I'm probably going to give it about a 9 too. IMDb rating from 144,000 reviews gives it a 7.3 out of 10. Rotten Tomatoes, which I always forget which one this one's for, but there's the tomato meter and then the audience score. The tomato meter, it gets a 90% on the tomato meter. and it got a 93% from audience scores. So it was a very successful movie. I'm hoping that they do a sequel. You know, Donnie, I don't know if you were here when I said that all of the characters and stuff that were in this movie and all the stuff that happened in this movie, Wizards of the Coast made canon in the lore.
Yeah, aren't they the ones that released the character sheets? Or was that...
I mean, that was just to show the character sheets for these characters because, yeah, but like afterwards, Wizards of the Coast actually decided, hey, in all of the books and stuff moving forward, like anytime that,
That's cool.
they might show up again kind of thing. And,
That's cool.
from a D&D perspective, because we already did the episode where we talked about their character sheets, these guys, with the exception of Zenk, who was the paladin, Forge, who was an antagonist, and Sophina, which was the Red Wizard of Thay, they were all higher levels in D&D terms. But Doric, Edgin, Holga, Simon were all only level 5s.
I mean, they were broken ass level 5s.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. They had special unique powers and gifts and whatever. They were definitely NPC level 5s, not PC level 5s, but yeah. Anything else anybody wants to talk about? I've been talking way too much. My mouth is dry. I blame Rob, who's in the kitchen currently. Kat, what else do you want to say about this movie?
I'm not sure. I wasn't entirely expecting to be here today.
Yeah, you just kind of popped in after watching us get the shit scared out of us in Demonology.
Well, to be fair, I didn't find out what we were doing. None of us found out what we were doing it on until a little bit before you did.
True.
Okay.
That's
Just
true.
a little before you did.
Yeah.
It's been so long since I've watched it.
I'm just lucky that I watched it so many times that I can, remember all of it. And I mean, again, I didn't go over every single scene, scene by scene. There's definitely stuff that I glanced and skipped over, but I'm fairly certain I hit all the major plot points, and so I do highly. I'm pretty sure the consensus across the board here tonight is we all highly recommend this movie.
Oh yes.
Now, do you guys think that even people who don't understand D&D or play D&D would still enjoy this movie for what it is?
Yes.
Yes, I actually had a friend who texted me and they were like, hey, I'm going to go see this movie. And then after the fact came through and was like, I don't see why this had to be a D&D movie in particular, because they know nothing of D&D and just enjoyed the movie as it was. But that also means they missed a lot of the references.
Right, yeah. I will say, like, I feel like that's going to be the case where you don't have to be a D&D fan or know anything about D&D to enjoy the movie.
It's very visually appealing and it's got a lot of action, so I think they did well with keeping it something interesting for the uninitiated to D&D.
Yeah, but I do feel like if you are interested in D&D or if you do play D&D, you'll get the little references and nuances that they've put into the movie, and it'll just make it more enjoyable. Like I the very first time I watched it, I went through thinking about it from a DM perspective, and I was like trying to name off all the monsters and I mean, we kind of had already known their classes before seeing the movie. But and then each time I watched it after that, I picked up a little bit more and a little bit more.
Yeah, there's an insane amount of detail that they put in.
How many, Kat, did you pick up on the fact that Holga, the barbarian, her ex-husband, when she went and visited her ex-husband, was played by, I believe it's Matthew McConaughey?
No, it was Matthew. Was it Matthew McConaughey? I don't think it was. I'm about to look now.
I'm trying to remember now. Bradley Cooper.
Yeah. Fuck.
Bradley Cooper.
It was on the tip of my tongue.
Yeah. Did you pick up on that?
No, I didn't.
Oh.
Did you pick up that he was like a halfling or something?
I think he was
I
a
think that was
gnome.
up.
Wasn't he? Wasn't he?
I think he's a gnome.
Or a gnome? Yeah. He was small, boys.
Yeah, because she's supposed to be a halfling barbarian,
And he was smaller than her?
and he was smaller than her. So, yeah. Rob, do you have anything else that you'd like to add to stuff about the movie? He's hustling through the house.
The only other thing I was going to say, because I heard you ask if people thought it would be as entertaining for people that don't play D&D, and the answer is I still think they would think it was a good movie, but they wouldn't enjoy it as much.
Right.
Because, yeah.
Right.
But so I think that's like a lot of the reason why it's got like a 7 on the regular, whereas Rotten Tomatoes it's like a 9, but on like regular reviews it's a 7 point something, because people are like, oh, it's a good movie, but like if you don't get like the little like who knows if they don't know what a gelatinous cube is, or like what the
mimic.
classes and stuff are,
Yeah.
or the mimic. Yeah, you're just kind of like, oh, it's a good adventure story, but
Yeah.
like you don't get the whole.
Yeah, the little nuances are going to make it. They're gonna make it even better for the people who enjoy D&D stuff. So yeah. Well, I mean that's the D&D movie, Honor Amongst Thieves. Go watch it. That's the rundown for that movie. Rob's over at the door letting Matilda out. Did you have a science corner this week?
I do.
Oh boy.
I gave Rob his science corner for this week. He forgot it already?
Yeah, probably.
My science
Kangaroos are just
this
dogs
week
that went to
is
prison.
Kangaroos
Or not
are
dogs,
deer
fuck, deer.
that went to prison.
Okay. Yeah, he
not
did
dogs,
remember.
deers.
He did remember. So there's a lot about that that I'd like to argue with, but I'm not going to.
There was a visual. I don't know if you've seen the video.
There's a lot to argue with.
There
It's
was a
wrong.
visual.
That's because it's incorrect. It is absolutely incorrect. It was.
Let me see. I think the visual was in this chat.
Yeah, using
No.
visuals on a podcast, professionals.
We
guys.
always do.
Yep.
Where did you post that picture?
I might have sent it directly to Rob. No, because
No,
you saw it too,
I
didn't
remember
you?
seeing it too.
Fuck, I don't know. Let me look.
I thought it was in the. I thought it was in this chat, but I don't.
Yeah, I think it was just up further.
I mean, I went pretty high.
Been there. I mean,
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it was before that. I don't know then.
oh well. I've got it in my phone. I'll send it to Discord real quick.
Yeah, no, it was definitely after that stuff.
Yeah, I don't know. Because I want Kat to see it so she can be like, this is all sorts of wrong.
Oh, it's very, very much wrong. Incorrect. Factually incorrect. But it's funny because I can see it.
Sent it to both of us.
Nope. Anyway, apparently kangaroos are just deer that have been imprisoned or something, even though there's so many things wrong with that.
I did read an actual
Like,
science.
oh boy, an actual science corner. Okay.
Hey, hold up.
They're moving into trials for a new drug in China, I think, or Japan that can regrow teeth. But
Nice.
it's not for like older people that have lost their teeth. It's for like special diseases that cause your teeth to not grow properly or something. It can fix it and grow your teeth now.
All right. So teeth cloning. Gotcha. There you go, Kat. There's our visual representation of deer, jacked up deer.
I don't know how to feel about that.
Yeah, right? I agree. I mean, I get it. It's visually similar and you can see it, but yeah, no. Not to mention, where the hell's that kangaroo's pouch? Don't kangaroos have pouches?
Females, prime
Oh, only the females?
Yeah, because they carry the baby around in the pouch.
Yeah. Man. All right. Well, anyway, that was our episode, everybody. I hope you enjoyed. Kat, what the hell are you going to do at work now? Because normally you listen to these episodes at work, but you already heard the whole episode.
I don't know.
Yeah, jeez. Man.
Figure it out.
God dang.
I'll listen to an older episode.
All right. You can go listen to the episode that we talked about the character sheets on these characters.
That'll be probably my 4th time listening to that one, though.
Oh, Jesus. What, Rob? No. No, she's still upset with you. So, all right. Well, with that being said, everybody, life advice, take it one day at a time. And don't take life too seriously because none of us make it out alive. How's that? Good life advice. Boom. Did it. Rob, where can people find you on the internet? You can find me at Confessor_X on Twitter and at ConfessorX on Twitch. Right? Yes. Got it. Nailed it. He's in the kitchen, so he's meandered away from his computer. That's why I'm doing stuff for him. Donnie, where can people find you on the internet? At Jax Forcewalker, all one word. I'm taking everybody's lines now. Donnie, you got nothing? Donnie gone? All right.
The deer got him.
I guess so. Yeah, he ran away from that kangaroo deer. Kat, where can people find you on the internet?
You can find me on Twitch at LCat50000L. I had to make it weird.
For the longest time, I didn't realize that first letter was an L.
It's lowercase. It doesn't look like it.
Yeah,
so.
I thought it was just an uppercase I for some reason.
Yeah, I'll have to fix it at some point.
Is that all that you when do you stream?
It's inconsistent, but I hope to get back around to it sometime soon.
Inconsistent.
Yeah, I joined Twitter a lot.
When are you going to stream MS Paint?
Undecided.
Alright, well, that's not a never, so I'll take it. What's up, Rob?
I was going to say, I know what Donnie would say. You can find Donnie at Jack's
I already said that. Yeah, I already said that. And then I said I'm taking everybody's lines today. Yeah. And now he just hasn't said anything since. As always, everybody, you guys can follow me on Twitter at Jax Forcewalker, all one word. On Twitch at DM Webby. And on Instagram, on eBay at Searching for Devin, buying waffle makers. I don't know. I don't know what department Devin's in anymore. We hope you enjoyed the episode. We love you. Be safe and fuck Booster Gold. And I don't have the goddamn outro music. Fuck Booster Gold. And outro.
This is the one we can interrupt, right?
Yes.
Alright, cool.
The outros are interruptible. The intros, I always restart every time somebody messes it up.
I always happened to mute. I don't know if a little sibling was going to run through the hall.
Just the intros. You get the intro at the beginning and at the end.
Well, good to know for future reference. I'll have to send you the outro, Rob.